Right, so it's happened often before. I have a deck that's showing its age. So Edric's my Master Trust. Blue-green. One of my... How long have I had Edric? 10 years? I've had Edric a long, long time. And used to be Edric was a real house. Used to be Edric was really able to stand up to the rest of the table, win me some games. But no, things have gotten too fast. Things have changed, power creep, with the core plan of playing him to be reliable anymore. I mean, he can still work, but it's not as not a sure thing as it used to be. So I either need to retire him, accept that he's obsolete, or change him. And I'm probably going to change him. So let's take a look. What have we got? Okay, one blue-green for a 2/2 rogue elf. Never creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents. Its controller may draw a card. So Edric here helps a lot with stopping people from attacking you. Because if they attack each other, they get cards. So if your opponent... Is that going to work? That's not going to work. Let's bucket something heavy enough to hold this up here. There we go. How's that? Yeah, that's pretty. Okay, so one of the things is, if your opponents are attacking each other, they're not attacking you, they are drawing more cards, so they have more things to handle you with, but they're not attacking you directly. So we've got some mana base, Reflecting Pool. Gives me one green or blue, because, I mean, those are the colors I can make. Probably don't need it. Probably should put in something that one of the issues I've seen is so this is an old build. I didn't have a lot of ramp. The idea is I play a bunch of small creatures like Sappers in Air. Where's some other small ones? Hope of Gearpour, Spellstrutter Sprite, Cloud of Fairies, Lotus Cobra, Sylvan Safekeeper. I mean, all these creatures are small. So if I'm playing a bunch of small creatures, and my opponent's tagging me with big creature, and the big creatures come up faster than they used to. Used to be the setup time was about 6 turns, and by turn 6, Edric, usually I had 3 or 4 creatures out, including Edric himself, so I could attack people and draw cards and just poke them. I'm only poking them for 1, 2, or 3, because all the creatures are small. Now, the setup time has been vastly accelerated. So now, what used to take until about turn 6 for the game state to enter into, that game state is usually there about turn 4, maybe turn 3. For example, Jabari. Long Pete, when he plays Jabari, so at turn 4, he's got a 4/3 that when it attacks, will draw him a card and return something from the graveyard to the battlefield. Return a knight. Because there will be somebody in a 4-man game. Typically, there will be at least one person without an ability to block Jabari, and they get hit. And then you, if you hit your opponent, you get to pull a knight out of your graveyard and put it in play. And this is after you've drawn a card and discarded a card. So you draw a card, hey, discard this knight, bring it back into play. So Edric, playing all these small creatures, really cannot stand up to that very well. And that's just one example with Jabari. So what you need to do is put in either more ramp or more protection. I've already decided what I want to put in is a Heroic Intervention, and Etherize, and what was the other card I wanted to put in? There were 3 cards I was thinking of. So Heroic Intervention, probably all of you know it. 1 in the green instantly. All your creatures gain indestructible and hexproof until end of turn. Bang. So then I can block and make my creatures indestructible. Or cast it in response to board wipe. Etherize. If you're attacked, actually, not even if you're attacked, you can just cast Etherize, and all the creatures that are attacking, when you cast it, return to the owner's hand. So if somebody attacks you, a bunch of creatures, etherize, and they'll get bounced back to their hand. You can also use it politically. I'm pretty sure that, actually, let me just look it up. I'm pretty sure that etherize says it's just the attacking creatures. I'll just look at Nekazar. Nekazar has a etherize in him. Let me just read that correctly so I don't give you any bad information or make myself look like a bigger idiot than I have in the past. Alright, return all attacking creatures. Bang. So you can use it politically. If somebody else is being attacked and you want to help them for whatever reason, you can simply etherize and all the creatures that are attacking them get bounced back to their controller's hand, saving them. So anyway, probably what I should do is put in more green-blue lands. This gives me more of what I already have. I used to run Reflecting Pool in a lot of decks, a lot. And then I slowly started taking them out in favor of lands that actually give me the colors of the deck. More ways of getting both colors or an additional color rather than more of what I have. So let's put that to the side. Rainforest, no, that stays. Burgeoning. If I'm drawing a bunch of cards, I'm going to have a bunch of lands in my hand. And when my opponents play lands on their turn, Burgeoning lets me empty my hand out a bit and put more lands to play. So that stays. You have my Cradle Growth. This isn't fucking Cradle Growth. You have my Hollow. Regenerates a creature. Green tap regenerate. That stays. Tend to Shoot Dryad. So maybe I should look at reducing the overall casting cost of the deck even more than it is, and it's pretty low. Oh my god, is the overall CMC low in this deck. It's the lowest of any deck I've got. But what she does is she gives me token creatures that I don't care about, so I can send them out willy-nilly to try to get through, to try to do damage, so I can draw cards with Edric. She also gives me blockers, so there's that. Oh yeah, what the hell is it? The spider spell. That's the other thing I was thinking of putting in, is the spider spell. Let me remember what the hell that's called just a minute. Let's look at Reaper King, because Reaper King has the spider spell, and since Reaper King is up on blocks, getting overhauled to like Arachnogenesis. 200 green, instantly create X 1/2 green spider creature tokens with reach, where X is the number of creatures attacking you, and then fog for non-spider creatures. So my 1/2 spiders would deal damage, my opponent's creatures would not. And then I'd have a bunch of tokens that I can turn around and attack with. So Arachnogenesis, I will take it out of Reaper King because he doesn't feel right. He doesn't feel done. It doesn't feel like I made the best decisions that I can make. So I'm going to overhaul him at a later date. I'm not worried about him now because it's an Ostruzna deck. It's a bastard bitch Ostruzna deck because the idea is get Reaper King, get Maskwood Nexus, throw out something like March of the Multitudes, create 10 Scarecrows, and blow 10 things up. If I have Reaper King, I have Maskwood Nexus. Reaper King says Scarecrow comes into play. You have to blow something up. It's not a may. So if it's lands, I'm going to blow up lands. In Prague, I'm not going to do that. That's a little over the top for Prague. In fact, it's a lot over the top for Prague. Ostruzna? Nah. They can handle it. Alright, let's keep going with what works. What works in this deck and what's questionable. So Sapra's in air. Alright, now she's cheap. She's 1/1. She's got no evasion at all. One of the things in the deck is everything needs to have evasion as much as possible so it can get through. Well, her, if Edric is out, like I told Long Pete when I attacked him with Sapra's in air, look, you can block her, and she'll die, and I get 3 cards. Or you can take 1 damage, and I get 1 card. What do you want to do? So he blocked her, and I got 3 cards. Okay, that's fair. And then if I got Tetsuko Omazawa, then she becomes unblockable. So there's that. Soul Ring. There's not a lot of artifacts in this deck, and that's intentional because I have, what the hell is he? I'll show it when I come across it. That shuts off artifacts. This is the only thing he can shut off in this deck. Glendalindra Archmage. So she's got evasion, she's got flying, and she's a counterspell on legs for non-creature spells. So she works. The CMC is kind of high for this deck, which is weird to say, because in Commander CMC 4, that's kind of nothing. Okay, you have my coast, forest, Reliquary Tower. Well, if I'm drawing a bunch of cards, I'm going to have a lot of cards in my hand, and I don't necessarily want to discard them. So Reliquary Tower will stay. Spontaneous Generation. This card does amazing work in this deck. Lately, what's been happening, the couple times I played Edric, is he will start working slower than he used to, it seems, because in relation to the other decks, they are faster than my opponents used to be. So in relation, he seems slower because everybody else has sped up. And also, it's harder for him to seal the game, to seal out the win, because the creatures have gotten better. I'm getting hit for more damage earlier in the game. But in both games, I managed to get Spontaneous Generation after I had a bunch of cards in my hand. So I get a bunch of 1/1s, and if Tetsuko Umezawa's out, they're unblockable. And if Tenryshi Dryad's out, they're 33s. So 4 mana, 1 card, I get typically anywhere from 6 to 12 creatures. That's about the range. Minamo, School, I'm guessing, I don't really need this. It's really here to tap Gaia's Cradle. And it's an island that taps the Cradle for 1 blue. That's really what it is. Frostbringer. This card, my opponents hate it. I know why they hate it. I wouldn't want to see it either played against me, but I need ways to slow them down. This is in here to slow them down. Like I said, they've sped up in relation to me. So recently I put in a Frostbringer, which is Winter Orb. Each player can only untap 1 land during their untap step. Problem now is a lot of people are playing artifacts, artifact mana. So Frostbringer does nothing about that. I've got another card for that. But anyway, it does slow them down, it does buy me some time. So it stays. Thetadil Inquisitor. So 1 double blue for an Island Walker. Okay, she hits somebody, I get to go find an artifact card and exile it. I really don't care about that too much in this deck because I'm planning to shut off the artifacts. Now, I'll still look, maybe I'll find something I want, but really she's in here because she has evasion, which is relevant. Somebody will be playing islands, almost invariably. Not guaranteed, not 100%, but 60% of the time it works 100% of the time. Pestermite, the deck has a pretty good suite of fairies, and this is one of them. So Pestermite, flash, flying, comes to play, tap and tap target permanent. The flash is good, the flying is good, so she has some evasion. Tap her and tap the target permanent. I can use it defensively. I can use it to untap the Gaia's Cradle, for example. And it's a decent card in this deck. I would like to find something a bit cheaper, but it's okay. Maybe I should review fairies. Anyway, what I'm going to do is everything that does work has worked in the deck. Keep in. Anything that's questionable, I'll set to the side. So actually, maybe Pestermite is questionable. So let's set her to the side. Hope of Gearpore. Okay, colorless for a 1/1 flyer. So it's got evasion. It doesn't matter if I don't have blue or I don't have green, I can still cast it. Of course, if I don't have blue or green, I can't cast Edric, which is a problem. Sacrifice it until your next turn. Target player who has dealt combat damage by it can't cast non-creature spells. I've never done that. It's hard to tell when I should do that in a commander game. Is this guy going to blow off some major non-creature spell that I need to worry about? Is that guy going to... It's kind of hard to tell. Now, I can also use it to make sure nobody's going to counter me, to counter what I'm going to do. So if there's another guy playing blue, I can hit him with the Hope of Girapur, sacrifice it, and he can't counter anything I do the rest of the turn. This turn, it only works for one turn, so... Because it's a 1/1 flyer for 1, that's good enough to stay in. Spellstructure Sprite. Well, if I take out Pestermine, I better put in another fairy, because I need to keep a critical mass of fairies to make this effective. And she has done good work in the past. She is an effective part of the deck. 1 in a blue for a 1/1 flashy flyer. Comes into play, she counters a spell with CMC X or less, where that's the number of fairies I have. So, I'm not going to counter anything big. But sometimes all she needs to do is counter a Swords to Plowshares or another counter spell. You know, somebody, okay, I counter that. Alright. Spell Stutter. I've got 2 fairies. Counter your counter spell, motherfucker. Island. Yep, I need lands. This is... I need to start pulling the colorless. The colorless bites me. I want the green and blue quickly. I want it as soon as possible, because I need to get creatures out as quickly as possible. I need to get Edric out fast. So sometimes the lands that produce colorless bite me in the ass. But this does let me cast non-land cards as though they had flash, and sometimes that's relevant. Let's set to the side. Island, and I'll review the I'll count the pips later and review how many blue sources I have, how many green sources I have in relation to my real needs. It could be that I've unbalanced the deck, that it's heavily weighted towards green, but the mana base is still evenly distributed. That's a possibility. Cloud of Fairies. Flying comes into play and tap 2 lands. It's free. This is a free 1/1 flyer. So in this deck, that's pretty good. Lotus Cobra. Whenever land enters battlefield under my control, I can get a mana of any color. I'm not sure if I really need it anymore. I mean, it's nice to have the extra mana, and I do have small creatures, so if I, say, have Lotus Cobra, play a land, if I have Exploration, if I play a second land, and I get 2 mana out of it, well, I can probably cast something. Let's set that to the side. Hinterland Harbor, yep, green-blue, need it. Sylvan Safekeeper. He's great. Sacrifice a land, target creature can't be the target. Gain Shroud. Sack a land, give a creature Shroud. I'm going to Swords to Plowshares that bitch. No, you're not. I'm going to sack a land instead. It hurts, but getting that creature sorted would hurt more. Island. Looter Ilkor. An unblockable 1/1 that draws me a card, then I discard a card. Looting. I'm not really sure if I want to keep this in here. I don't really like looting. I like the fact that he has Shadow, but I really don't like the fact that I have to discard a card when he hits somebody. So let's hit him to the side. Essence Warden, yeah. Life gain. There's not a lot of life gain in this deck, so she stays. What else? Okay, it's 1/1, so if Tatuko comes down, it's unblockable. It goes and finds me a land. It puts into play untapped. So that's decent. Crop Rotation. Sack a land, go get Cradle, go get Yevmai Hollow, go get something useful. Dalikos Deceiver. The mana cost is kind of high, but it is a pretty good threat. It's got Shadow, so it's effectively unblockable. And when anybody has a creature that is more interesting than a 1/1 unblockable, which is a couple of them, I can think of a couple of other creatures that would be more fun to have than a unblockable 1/1, I can snatch it. The thing is, this is effective in this deck on paper, but I don't remember the last time I ever had this guy in play. I don't. It doesn't seem to come up. So I'll set him to the side. High market, sacrifice creature, gain 1 life. I don't really know if I need it. I don't know if maybe this is one of the colorless lands that's biting me on the butt. Let's take that out. Set to the side. Ivy, she's a new inclusion. I've not seen how effective she actually is, but she seems like a lot of fun, doesn't she? Blue-green for 2 and flyer. Whenever anybody casts a spell that targets only a single creature other than her, I can copy it. And the copy targets her. So if somebody enchants their creature with something interesting, I can have an enchant Ivy. If somebody gives a creature some bonus, like Wild Growth, Might of Oaks, I Might of Oaks this creature, it gets 7/7. Oh, that looks pretty fucking cool. I'm going to have it target Ivy. She's going to get 7/7 too. I hope you're not attacking me. She's going to kill your creature. So let's keep her in. Forest. Genesis. And there goes the battery. Son of a bitch. Alright, fresh battery. Let's keep going with Edric. We stopped at Genesis. Who... So the way I built this deck, I built it to be resilient. I always built my decks as some way of recurring things, some way of getting stuff back. And he's something I've had in the deck for a long time. I mean, he'd be good with Talikos Deceiver, but not much else really. Maybe I don't need him anymore. I mean, I like the fact that I've got a foil judgment version. The judge foil version is interesting, but you see this green? You see the green bands around his waist, torso, bicep, forearm? They took that out. If you look at the judge foil art, those are gone. Those aren't there. I don't know why. It's weird. So I like this version a lot better. But do I need him? So 5 mana for 4/4, but I have to get him killed. That's the thing, is I have to get him killed in order for him to be in the graveyard and not get my graveyard exiled. Maybe I don't need him anymore. So, possible. Dryad's Fistket, 2 for a non-basic land walking 2/1. Yeah, she works really well in this deck. Nature's Will. This breaks symmetry. This breaks the symmetry of the Frostbringer. So if I've got Winter Orb in play, Frostbringer, if I attack and hit somebody, as long as one of my creatures hits somebody, I get to untap all my lands. So this will stay in there just for that. Plus, if I have this in play, I can cast a bunch of spells before my combat phase, attack, draw more cards, and cast more things. So yeah, that works really well. Ancient Tomb gives me 2 colorless mana, does 2 damage to me. This is kind of in here. I mean, there's a lot of things it can accelerate, but I don't have a lot of life gain, so it's probably not the best idea in this deck anymore. The initial idea was I could play Winter Orb turn 1. That's probably not a good idea though, because then I would be slowed down as just mud. Let's set that to the side. Forest, Island, Cyclonic Rift. Yes, the super asshole rift. It costs 7. This lie that it costs, no, it costs 7. Return everything you don't control back to their owner's hand except lands. And I kind of need this in this deck because, like I said, small creatures against armies of increasingly faster coming into play big creatures that have better abilities, I need a way to stop them. Scribranger, oh, she's great. I love this card. Last time I played, Long Pete had Jabari out, and I had Scribranger, and he was going to attack us. Do you have anything I can block? Yeah, I've got this 1/1 flyer with protection from blue. Well, I will kill her. No, she's got protection from blue. She will block Jabari, and they'll just bounce off each other. He's a new player, so I had to explain protection. So he didn't like that. But the deck has a lot of random things like that, like her, that give me different effects, help me in, give me a small edge sometimes. So there's enough blue flying creatures that are problems that she's really good. Plus, return a force to my hand, untap a creature. I should probably put in more mana creatures. What I'm thinking about doing is reviewing the number of elves and putting in a Priest of Titania if I have a sufficient number of elves, or if I introduce a sufficient number of elves by taking stuff out. My friend Yiji, his Edric deck is it's all elves. He's got nothing blue in the whole deck other than Edric himself. So sometimes he'll never get to cast Edric because he won't get the blue because it's so heavy green. But if he goes, it's fast and furious. But if he falters because it's so all in and focused, it's a glass cannon. If his deck stumbles, it never picks itself back up again. It just falls behind. Vanilling Clique, flashy flyer. Look at target player's hand, choose an unlined card. If they do, they show it and put it on the bottom of the library, then draws a card. And you could do it to yourself. So if I've got something in my hand I don't really need right now, it's not helping me, I can always click it out. Plus it's a 3/1 flyer with flash, so I've got an instant blocker. Capsize. This has been really good in this deck. It costs 6. If I've got the cradle, that's not a problem. But I can bounce something that's a problem and put it back in my hand for later use against another problem. Or, like I said, Nature's Will. If I've got 6 lands, I can capsize something, bring it back to my hand. If capsize resolves, attack. One of my creatures hits somebody, untap all my lands with Nature's Will, and then I can have mana up to capsize again, something else. Okay, Finhorn Elves, Mana Elves. I've got Frostbringer in here, so I need some way of generating it. I don't have any that generate blue. I need... Oh, that's what I need. That's probably what will help. If I put in some creatures that will generate blue, some... I can't really think of any offhand other than like Birds of Paradise, which is a 0/1 flyer, so that's not very interesting. It's from Theros. It costs 1 in the green, it's a 0/3, and you can tap it for 1 mana of any color, and it has hexproof. I can't remember. I'll just have to look that up. But this stays because mana acceleration. Trade-in Rider. I don't know if any of you remember about 20 years ago when Trade-in Rider was a $20 card. Trade-in Rider was actively played in either Standard at the time or in Extended. And it was a house. It was a sought-after, desirable, playable card. Now, nobody gives a shit. Not at all. I've had it in here for a long time. I don't want to use it anymore. 3 for a 1/4 flyer. And I can tap 2 and tap creatures, well, 3 creatures in total. 2 other creatures plus him, tap them and return a permanent. And it can be a land. He can bounce lands back. Maybe he's obsolete. Maybe he's superseded. Let's put him in the maybe pile. Island. Men of War. It would actually be better for the deck because of Tetsuko Umezawa, like he keeps saying, if this was a 1-1. But the fact is, this can come into play, bounce a creature back to its owner's hand, and so it gets rid of a problem temporarily, or it saves one of my creatures if I can cast it as an instant. You know, Alchemist Refuge, perhaps some other way of casting creatures as an instant that I might have access to in the deck. So this is good enough to stay. What I should probably do is part of the review, look at putting in a crystal shard so I can bounce creatures back to my hand to reuse them again. Forest. Russian Infiltrator. It took me a long time to get this card. It took me a long time to find a foil Russian Yeshin Infiltrator. And I think it's funny that I've got a Russian Infiltrator. It's a 2/2 unblockable. That's all it is. Doesn't have Shad, doesn't have anything else. Just an unblockable 2/2. But with him, if he's in play, it's an unblockable 2/2 that draws me a card. Sword of Temptation. Fairy comes into play. I snatch somebody's creature. It does cost 4. But it does grab something as long as it stays in play. I'm kind of on the fence with this one. Let's put it in the maybe. Forest. Seaborn Muse. Oh my god, she's great. Of course, last time I played with Genie and Edric, he started complaining because Seaborn Muse is CEDH. How dare I play her in a casual deck? And are you kidding me? A 5-mana 2/4 and CEDH? No, I mean she untaps with everybody else, but in dual commander, that's not very impressive. Multiplayer, yeah, she's really impressive. So she stays. Flying Men. Yeah, 1 blue for a 1/1 flyer. So he's got evasion. He can go poke somebody. So turn 1, if I have Flying Men and a way of making blue, I can cast Flying Men. Turn 2, cast it. So turn 3, I can be attacking with Flying Men with Edric behind him. Forest. Master Waves. I like having ways of generating a large number of tokens, or a decent number of tokens, so I have more creatures to attack with, and I have more creatures to block with that I don't care about the tokens. Plus he's got protection from red, which, as with the Scrib Ranger, with protection from blue, randomly is very, very good. Plus, again, with Tetsuko, I better put in World of Tutors because I keep talking about Tetsuko. He's so key to the deck now that I should have an additional way of finding him. So this guy, he's a 2/1 of protection from red, and the creatures he makes are 1/0, and they only live as long as he's in play. So if he's in play, they're 2/1s, which toughness 1, Tetsuko makes them unblockable. And I need to be careful if I take too many things out with blue, because of course he depends on my devotion of blue. If the devotion isn't high, he's not going to be as impressive. Just a tool to use against different things that might screw me over. Comes into play, choose an outline card name, and the activated abilities can be activated. A lot of things that this can stop as long as it's in play. Beastmaster Ascension. The way to play this is play it in attack with 5 creatures. 7. Attack with 7 creatures, bang, and they all get 5/5. So as long as it has 7 or more quest counters, and you get a quest counter whenever you attack with a creature, so you can do it, attack with 2 creatures, okay, it's got 2, next turn, attack with 3, and then your opponents will disenchant it. So the best thing to do is when you have 7 or 8 creatures, slam it down and attack with all of them. They all get 5/5. They all get 7 quest counters. Pendelhaven. You might have seen I've got a couple 1/1s in the deck. This can make it a little bit bigger in case of a block or if I'm blocking. Reclamation Sage comes to play. Blow up an artifact. Yeah, I really should put a Crystal Shard in this deck. Kaltaga Selke. So she's 1 blue-green hybrid for a 1/1 Island Walker, so she's got evasion. Whenever she deals damage, I draw cards equal to her power. So if Edric's out, I'm getting at least 2 cards. There he is, Tutsuko Omazawa, Fugitive. Creatures with power toughness 1 or less cannot be blocked. Of course, if they've got toughness less than 1, they're not going to be attacking or blocking anyway. They'll be dead. There he is, Collector Oof. This is one of the reasons I don't have too many artifact sources of mana, because I plan to shut off the artifacts. Active abilities for artifacts can't be active, so no treasures, no arcane signet, no talent, none of that. Nope. Counter spell. Counteract spell. Yeah, I should probably keep that. Let me just make sure there's nothing in here that I should have put into the maybe. But everything here is pretty solid in the deck. You know what? I should get a Brazen Borrower. I should get a Brazen Borrower for this deck. Have they fallen in price? Are they cheap yet? I need to check. Ghost Court. Why the hell did I've had Ghost Court in here for a long time, but I can't remember why. Colorless. Let's take that out. Breeding Pool. Blue, green, green, blue. Biomass Beetle. This is a fantastic card in this deck. Let's say I have Cradle out, and I've got 12 little shitty 1/1, 2/1 creatures. I attack with all of them, as my opponents laugh because I'm attacking with such a pissant army. They can easily be blocked and destroyed. Tap Guy's Cradle. I get 10 mana. Tap whatever the lands I have, get 12. Okay, all those little pissants are now 10/10. Are you still laughing? How are you going to block, 10 10/10s? And if Tutsuko's out, again, I mentioned Tutsuko. If Tutsuko, and I've done this before, attack with a bunch of unblockable creatures and then just make them fucking huge. But he doesn't really do it as much anymore because I don't get the creatures out as quickly as I was in relation to my opponents. Plex Manta. This is why I didn't have Heroic Intervention, because of this guy. What I try to do with Edric is if I can do something with the creature, I try to do it with the creature, because then I've got something to attack with, something to use with Edric. So Plex Manta, 1 and a blue for a 2/2 flashy beast. When he comes into play, creatures I control cannot be the targets. They gain Shroud. They full on gain Shroud. And I'll sacrifice unless I spent green. So if I spend green blue and flash into play, I get to keep it. If I spend colorless blue, then it's basically a spell. Comes into play, my creatures gain Shroud, and then it dies. But that has been quite effective, so I'm going to keep it. Speaking of doing things with creatures, I'm still running Mystic Snake. I'm not... I want to keep it, but the casting cost and keeping that mana up sometimes is a problem. Although my problem is probably this and this and this colorless mana. That's likely my biggest problem. So it's good that I'm doing this review. Yeah, Command Tower. Venser, Shaper Civil. He's flashy, comes into play, bounces a spell or permanent back to its owner's hand. Yeah, Crystal Shard. See, I should put one here. Flooded Growth. Trident Rider. That's kind of the reason I kept him, is because I've got all these come into play abilities. So I can bounce something back to my hand and recast it. But he doesn't come out that often, and when he does, I still need 2 other creatures along with him to bounce something back. So I need to back him up with something. Exploration, I can play additional lands. So I'm drawing cards, drawing a bunch of cards with Edric. I want to get the lands down. Oboro, Palace in den Vulcan. So this taps for 1 blue, or I can spend 1 and bounce it back to my hand. The reason this is in here is it's a low-hanging fruit. It's a cheap, easy way of adding an additional card to my hand for sapling infestation. So if I have 6 cards, I can bounce a borrow back to my hand. Now I have 7 cards, cast sapling infestation, and I get 6 tokens. Because of course the infestation doesn't count itself because you're casting it. Oko, Thief of Crowns. Anybody remember him? Has everybody forgotten him already? Everybody hated him when he was in Standard. They hated him when he was in Modern. And then he got banned. And his price went into the toilet. Went his price. So I got one. I got one for Edric. 1 blue-green. +2. Create a food token. +1. Target artifact creature becomes a 3/3 elk that does nothing other than looks elky. And this, exchange control of artifact or enchantment, artifact or creature you control. And target creature an opponent controls with power 3 or less. So I can take an opponent's weak creature and give them a food. Or I can take an opponent's weak creature and give them one of my... I don't need to do that. Create food tokens and elk things. Island. Survival of the Fittest. Choose and throw away creature card. Search a library for creature card. Show it to everybody. Put in your hand. Shuffle after. This is another reason I have Genesis, but Genesis and Eternal Witness are my only sources of recursion. So if I'm throwing away creatures, kind of hard to get them back unless I get Genesis in the graveyard, then I can get them back. But this will find Tetsuko. If there's a creature I have in my hand that I don't really need right now, is not helping me, I can go find something more key. Like the Collector Oof. Jorel, I haven't had her play very often, but when I do, she works out pretty good. So if Edric is in play, basically when I attack, I get another token creature to attack with next turn or to defend me. And for the low price of 6, my creatures get bigger according to the number of cards in my hand. So another reason to keep in the Reliquary Tower. So she's pretty, and she's cheap to cast. So keep her. River Boa. Island Walk and regenerates. I just like this card, and it works. It works really good in this deck. Okay, 2/2 Forest Walker. Even more than blue, in a 4-man game, somebody's going to have green. So somebody's going to get hit with the Dryad. Okay, there's my Eternal Witness. There's my recursion. If I take out Genesis, yeah, Crystal Shard, definitely. But then Collector Oof shuts it off. Collector Oof shuts off the Crystal Shard. So I need a creature, another creature that bounces creatures back to my hand. I can't think of any offhand except Trident Rider. I need to look into that. Island. How many of you seen one of these before? Ever? Maybe the the last time I went over Edric, some of you saw one of these. I doubt any of you have ever seen one of these in play. It's just too crappy, too old, nobody plays with it. 2 mana for a 1 flyer. What kind of shit is that? But it's got protection from red. And like with Master Waves, Sometimes randomly that protection from red can save your ass from a big dragon. You've got this little fairy. Hey, I'm a little fairy. I'm a big dragon. I'm going to attack. I block my little fairy. She's got protection from red. She don't die. God damn it. Visible Stalker. 1/1 unblockable hexproof. Fits the theme. Does good work. Gets through. Draws me cards. Sun Quan, Lord of Wu. 6 mana. 6 mana is a lot. Nothing else costs more than him, or as much as him, except for Cyclonic Rift. 6 mana for 4/4, and all my creatures have horsemanship. You know, used to be, I would always think they can't be blocked except by creatures horsemanship or flying. I thought flying creatures could block creatures with horsemanship. Years ago I thought this. And then I started playing with Sun Quan more, and seeing this more, and cementing in my head more. No, flyers, they're just fucking unblockable. Okay. Guy's Schultz. Guy's Cradle. Allurin. Any player, anyone, all of them, can play a creature card whenever they fucking feel like it, with CMC 3 or less. Without paying its mana cost. You throw that bitch down. Throw it down. Get those creatures in play. Smash face. Well, with Edric, the idea is if I get Allurin out and I attack with people, I draw a bunch of cards. Ideally, a big number of them will be creatures with CMC 3 or less. So at the end of the turn, the opponent preceding me, I can throw them down, and during my turn, I can attack with them. That's the idea. Disallow, counter target spell, activate ability, triggered ability, just super counter spell. Remember Flying Men? Remember when I showed you my Flying Men? This, I can't remember if I've ever had my script sprites in play, ever. This is a beta script sprites. And it fits the theme of the deck. It fits it really well. Green for a 1/1 flyer. So it comes down early, because I started attacking with Edric. Let me just take a look and make sure there's... Because I'm getting so involved in the emotions of the cards, the joy I have in playing them, that I forget to make sure that they are as effective as I want them to be, and don't put them, you know, putting them in the deck rather than the maybe pile. Well, this guy will go in the maybe pile. Because it's just hard to get him through anymore. Really hard. 1 blue and a green for a 2/3 flyer. When he deals combat damage to somebody, I can blow up one of their artifacts or enchantments. Now, 10 years ago, an early flyer would often go unanswered. These days, with all these creatures randomly having reach, because you look around, do you have any flyers? No. Okay, let me rephrase that. Do you have anything that can block flyer? Oh yeah, I've got these 3 random squirrels that have reach. Oh, fuck me. What about you? I've got this horror that has reach. Oh, Jesus Christ. So he doesn't get through anymore. So, time to think about taking him out. Forest, Earthcraft. Alright. Breaking the symmetry of Frostbringer. Tap and untap creature control, untap target basic land. So if I have creatures with summoning sickness, it don't matter. I can still tap them to untap my basic lands. Llanowar Elves. So let's go through. Let's take out the lands and see what the mana base looks like now. And then I'll count the pips. Counting the pips. To remind everybody, the goal of this, what I'm trying to do is recover Edric to make him viable again in a game that has sped up because of fucking power creep, without making it just goddamn stacks. I mean, I could put stasis in here and make sure my creatures have vigilance of one way or another. I could do other dirty things, but I don't really want to. So let's take a look at the land. So this makes both colorless. It makes green both green colorless. Can you see this? Let me make sure all of you can see this. Blue, is that on camera still? Is that in the field of view? Yeah, that's in the field of view. Okay, blue, blue, both, blue, green, blue, green, blue, blue, green, 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 both, green, blue, blue, both, blue, 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 green, green. Alright, so if I go down to 2 that make colorless, that's probably a good idea. Let's see how many blue versus green I have. I really don't care about counting the ones that make both because it makes either one. I need 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 green, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12 blue. So it's evenly distributed. Let's count the pips. Let's count the green pips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, screw it, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 32 green pips. Okay, I was at 32 green pips before the recording shut off by itself because my camera rolls for 30 minutes. And this is going to be a long fucking video. Oh my god. The first part was 20 minutes, then I did 30 minutes, now I'm running it again. Holy shit. Okay. So 30 green pips. 1, yeah, 1. That's the one that matters. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, screw it, 22, 23, 24, screw it, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. It's about even. It's still about even. If I keep those in, it's about even. So what should I really take out of here? What am I losing? Okay, if I lose a fairy, I need to put a fairy in because the spell structure sprite. So that's non-negotiable. 2 fairies. So if I take these 2 fairies out, I need to put in 2 fairies to replace them. If I take out Ghost Quarter, Ancient Tomb, High Market, should I just keep this in here or get something more reliable? Let me see if there's another dual land I can put in of some stripe. I doubt it. Maybe that, what the hell is it? The one that if you have 3 or fewer lands it comes into play untapped. Maybe. In that, so if I take those out, then the deck becomes more reliable because I put in things that make blue and green. 3, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I have 8 possible exclusions and 5 possible land exclusions. So if I put in Arachnogenesis, Aetherize, and Heroic Intervention, that covers 3, and then I could put in 5 more things. I just need to think about it. And maybe I don't want to take out all of these. I need to review what I have, and I need to review my options. Anyway, I'm open to suggestions. I'm open to ideas of what you think I should put in, because there are cards you lads know about, I don't. They're just too new. I don't have time to keep up. But some of you that are playing in a newer environment and seeing the newer cards, you know what's out there. better than I do. So tell me, help a brother out.